Okay guys, this is getting weird. We are having an anomalous surge of large meteors flying into our planet now for over a month. These are known as fireballs when they shine brighter than the planet Venus, the third brightest object in our sky under normal situations, and they are bright enough to be seen during the day as a result. And we're not just seeing like a 10 or 20% uptick in these fireball sightings this month of March in 2026. We're seeing now like a 300% increase in fireball sightings, perhaps even more. The prior records for NASA, and they only list the fireball sightings that have more than 100 reports for them, is 6 per month. And this data goes back to 2018 January. Right now we're sitting at 11, and they only also count the fireball reports for the United States. We also have multiple fireball sightings over Europe now, even across other parts of the globe, New Zealand, other places. It's all coming in. Here we see a fireball sighting from Germany back on the 23rd of March. We see that this was a pretty significant event. We can see a more recent one that just flew over Tennessee here yesterday on the 30th. This being a long-lived event, though fairly far away from our Gen X Florida man who is driving his car here. So not the best footage, but we do see a significant fireball flying across the eastern part of the United States there on the 30th. I also have a report here of a fireball sighting over the British Virgin Islands, supposedly for the 29th of March. I was able to get the video. I was not able to get confirmation as to the location or the date. We see the moon there. We know that right now the moon is waxing gibbous, and so it's kind of hard to tell what moon phase we have with this video to do a little bit of detective work right now, astronomical detective work. But supposedly for the British Virgin Islands, on the 29th of March. Here we see a fireball sighting over Washington on the 28th of March. So we see that this is continuing. This has not stopped. I've been reporting on this for you since the beginning, really since that big fireball over Germany on the 8th of March, where we recovered fragments from. Here we see a fireball sighting over Trinidad and Tobago on the 21st of March, and there was also a similar sighting on the 25th of March, though we don't have video for that. But you can clearly see that these are fireballs. These are not just even the normal shooting star or even a little bit bigger. We're like, oh wow, that was really interesting. You start to see some color. These are long-lived events, really flashing, lighting up the sky, being visible during the day. And what we have seen, based on the data by the American Meteor Society, is that most of these large fireballs are coming in from the anti-solar direction, so from an anthelian source. So the opposite side of the sun, meaning that in general, they're coming in at night. And so if you have the sun here and you have the earth, they're coming in from the other side. Well, as I've been talking about for months now, we are right now passing closest to the path that interstellar object 3I Atlas took through the inner solar system back during its perihelion, its closest approach to the sun, around the end of October of 2025. It was super active with jets and all this stuff. If you follow the story on 3I Atlas, you're well aware of all the anomalies. We were talking about for a long time, even before that perihelion, about how it could produce debris that if it's then pulled into the sun by some mechanisms known and unknown, that we could enter into a potential debris field. Well, it looks like we're seeing that. Now, something else that people have been mentioning is this satellite warfare that's occurring up in space? Because, well, we have these new conflicts breaking out, and there's probably covert satellite warfare that's occurring. And I don't necessarily discount that, but we do see a difference between meteors coming in and satellite junk coming in, and also re-entry debris from space labs and rockets and more. So we can see a classic example of some space junk here. This was filmed over Florida. This is the re-entry of something quite large. I think it was like a Chinese rocket, some of the pieces there. But in general, satellite re-entry debris is quite slow compared to meteors, and also it comes in at a low inclination, because they are orbiting around our planet like this. So when they die, they basically just start to kind of go down. They don't go straight down. Whereas meteors, they can come in at any inclination. It depends on their trajectory of intersection with the Earth. So we see meteors come straight down. Sometimes we see them go horizontal. In general, they are much, much faster. For example, the typical satellite reentry will have a speed of about 17,500 miles per hour. That's just about 28,000 kilometers per hour. A meteor or fireball will come in at its slowest, typically about 25,000 kilometers per hour, going up to 160,000 kilometers per hour. So you see that this is a long duration event, this space junk reentry. It also fragments apart into pieces because you have the solar panels and all the different components. They fracture apart, and then each of them basically disintegrates and vaporizes in the atmosphere, whereas a fireball, for example, comes in, it's one piece. It may fracture if it's big enough, but in general, it's a short duration, very bright event, unlike what we see with space junk. So as it relates to the potential of there being satellite warfare, I definitely think that could be happening. We don't have the most data on it, but I don't think that's what we're seeing here. I think we're looking at a legit increase in meteor and fireball sightings due to some wave of interplanetary, perhaps even interstellar debris. And this could be the advanced wave of something larger because it is coming from that anti-solar direction. Sun is a big, big thing. 99.86% of the mass in our solar system is the sun, therefore has a ton of gravity. So if there is something larger coming in, this could be the advanced part of a debris field before this larger object. That's certainly possible. Now the chance of that is, I think, relatively low, A, and B, I think that if that is to occur, the chance of something larger to hit us is also relatively low, but it looks like the risk percentage overall is going up quite a bit. So this is definitely concerning. Let's look at some data here from the American Meteor Society. Has something changed in the near-Earth meteoroid environment? Right, what they say is there's a pattern that warrants serious investigation. I've talked about this before. I pulled up this data here. Basically, the signals at the top of the distribution, March 2026, is highly anomalous. Sonic booms are way up and the number of sightings is way up, all this stuff. They crunched the data, and the Ant-Helion sporadic source is where most of these sporadic fireballs come in. Okay, so again, that's the opposite side of the sun. But for 2026, this activity has approximately doubled. Okay, and well, this article came out like more than maybe about a week ago. So it's kind of out of date now because we've had a huge number of events occur since then. Here we see our database from the American Meteor Society. And NASA will only report on this if it's over 100, and it's also for the United States. We can look at that really quick. Here we see the NASA Skyfall database. Okay, they show all the arrows for the United States. And this right now is at 11 because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Prior months that had high amounts were 6. That's the highest. The average for this data set is 2. So we're nearly 6 times higher than the average amount of fireball sightings per month for data going from January 2018 up to now. But again, we see that there's a lot of events here that are, for example, like 30 reports, and these are people that know that they can make a fireball sighting report, right? Not everyone that sees these thinks to go to the American Meteor Society. They just maybe like, oh wow, that's cool. Tons of people have been commenting on my YouTube videos, also on my X post, saying, hey, I saw something, I was hanging out on my porch, giant fireball flew overhead. I've never seen anything like that. I don't discount anecdote. Maybe you have to like remove 20% of those reports because maybe there's a bit of exaggeration, but when you get a surge of people telling you this, you got to pay attention. So a lot of reports in here, as you can see, I mean, I'm scrolling, I'm only back to the 23rd of March now. Keep scrolling. If you get to the bottom of the page, it's only the 17th of March. So tons of reports for March. We even had a report across New Zealand. So no video for this, as far as I know. Yeah, no video for this, but we can see that there were reports of this fireball across New Zealand. They plotted the approximate path and trajectory of it there. Here we see the report for that one that I showed you over Germany on the 23rd. This New Zealand event, by the way, this is recent. So this is for, I think, what, the 30th of March, around 8:32 Universal Time. So this is definitely something that's happening. We don't know exactly what's the deal. There's some sort of debris field. I don't think it's satellites, as I talked about before. Now, I think at some point this really is going to be a concern. Here we see a satellite map. So we see all the satellites in space. I can even zoom out further. And, well, it looks like they only show, here we go. We're only looking at Starlinks right now. We want to see all of them. Let's check out all our satellites. And we will see geosynchronous ones and more. It gets really, really wild here, okay? We can also kind of look at a different diagram here, checking out these satellites. And this gets a little bit cluttered because they make them bigger, but our space environment is very, very busy. And with there being active warfare right now, and there being weak alliances between different groups that have assets in space which can which can take out satellites. Like, for example, the Russians have been testing something that can basically do satellite warfare. It's conceivable that there would be satellite warfare. But we aren't really seeing these fireballs having the characteristics of a satellite coming down or even a piece of larger junk. Again, they break up really easily, and they're also big. You can get a fireball sighting from something like a rock like this, like 3 inches across, whereas a satellite is this big honking thing, and it's 250 kilograms or more. Maybe it's 1,000 kilograms. Starlinks would be the most obvious candidate because they are re-entering our atmosphere at about 2 to 3 a day. We can look at that here. If we go to our data, we can see re-entries. We'll first click Starlink, and then we'll look at our decays for Starlink, and we see that we are seeing a pretty big increase in Starlink decays. We really had a surge around the beginning of 2025. Now we're getting about 1, 2, 3 a day. Just on the 29th, we had 6. So it's certainly possible that some of these are from satellites, but the videos at least that we're getting for a lot of these reports, when there is a video attached, looks like it's a meteor and not a satellite. You can also look specifically at the decays for this, or re-entries, and they have a list here of re-entries, both recent and upcoming. And we can see that there are quite a lot across time. Not all of them are Starlinks, of course. I mean, we see a lot, but we also see Chinese satellites and more. But most of them are satellites. We see Russian satellites. We see the time of decay, like the 24th there, the 24th. We have the coordinates there. And I checked these coordinates, and basically they're coming down all across the globe, mostly over the oceans, of course. So we do have this data. I'll link this in the video description if you want to play with this yourself. But this is certainly anomalous, a big surge of meteor sightings over the United States. That's really where it's concentrated the most. I think partly the reason why is because we have these networks across the US that are well established and are good at collecting these reports. But if we do look at our American Meteor Society, they take reports from all around the world. Here we see Europe, New Zealand, France. We see Canada and United States. We see France and Great Britain there, 16 reports, right? Italy. So it is also a lot of European reports. Here we see Mexico in there. And here we see another one for Europe. This is all across Europe. This is the one that I showed you for Germany there. So we are getting reports from elsewhere, but we do see a preponderance for United States in particular. And that's the thing, if there's satellite warfare, these satellites would be coming down all over, not just over the US, because they're orbiting the globe and everything. So I don't know what's happening. I just think the most likely explanation, this is my idea, that I think is the most likely explanation is that we are seeing debris from 3i Atlas. And there's probably some other stuff, of course, that's coming in at the same time. The fragments recovered, the best data for that is that they are rare achondrites, eucarites, which are supposedly from the asteroid Vesta, though I haven't seen any hard links to those analysis. So it's kind of a trust me bro thing at this point in time. But regardless, here we see the location of interstellar object 3i Atlas at this time, first discovered July 1st of 2025, coming in at incredible velocity, 60 kilometers per second, accelerated to 68 kilometers per second. Now it's slightly decelerating as it works against the gravity well of the sun. But look at its trajectory right here. Here's where the Earth is. There's where 3i Atlas was during its closest approach to the sun. It's perihelion back at the end of October, beginning of November. And so we were talking about for months how this time frame of March through the end of April right here is the time period where we'll most likely see potential interactions between debris launched from 3i Atlas because it was very active with all these jets and it's exactly along the ecliptic plane. And so it's the whole duck quote. If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and swims like a duck and flies like a duck, like it's probably a duck. And we're seeing now this happen. And one of the best measures, in my opinion, of whether something is connected is if you can forecast it and then it happens, that's probably what it is. Okay, because you do that enough times and well, is it just always coincidence? Probably not. So we were forecasting this out months in advance. Now we're seeing this and it's not just a bias of more people, looking up with door ring bells, door cams and their cell phones or whatever. There's a legitimate increase in these fireball sightings, much more than normal this month of March. It did not happen last month. If we go back to February, for example, we see that we're pretty far away from that closest approach. This is more than double, I would say, that closest approach to the path of 3i Atlas. You get there to the beginning of March, it really gets close. And if you get to the middle of March, that like right this time period is where we are the closest to this path of 3i Atlas. I'd say if we start seeing a reduction in these sightings around mid-April, that's probably confirmation that we're seeing interstellar debris burning up in our atmosphere. Then the biggest question that I have is, okay, well, we see that we can have complex organics on asteroids and fragments and more. Like, are there potential biologics dropping into our planet from this interstellar object, which is billions of years old? That is the big unknown. The question that I will leave you with. Thank you all so much, everyone, for watching. Just one reminder really quick is that we have a sale going on right now at earthevolution.com. I have a variety of holistic wellness products and merchandise here. The code is to the moon for 5% off till the end of April 5th. We make and mix all these herbal products ourselves, my dad and I. All organic, the best stuff. It's really great. I recommend the herb coffee for sure. Really good for just potentiating your brain, getting you focused and creative, and it's this nice beverage to wake up and drink in the morning. Spirituality is greater for later in the day, evening, night, sleep. So yeah, we are running that 5% off till the end of April. Have a live stream for you on the moon mission Artemis 2 tomorrow, April 1st at night Eastern time. So make sure you subscribe and be on the lookout for that live stream. NASA will be streaming it. I'm sure I'm going to restream theirs and provide a little bit of commentary. Hope to see you there. Wishing you all well. Thank you all so much. I'll keep you up to date on all this with the fireballs and the solar storms and the sunspots, everything, earthquakes and more here on this YouTube and on my X account, on my Clips channel. All that linked in the video description. Have a great day. See you soon.